All right, guys, we're coming. Colin was sick last week, so we didn't do a podcast last week, but we're here today. Corey has some politics stuff he's working on, so he won't be able to attend us tonight. Trying to run for office takes up a lot of his time. And then, so it's just me and Colin tonight. And we were talking about some of the interesting things that we were observing this last week with the king and other things. So, Colin, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm all right.
Colin?
I'm all right. Just having a good time. I'm watching either the dissolution of civilization or the rebirth. I'm not really sure. It's probably a combination. Yeah, the king came for a visit, and something that was pointed out to me by one of our previous guests, Burlingame, and we haven't had Joaquin on yet, but I really want him to come on. That'll be my next. I really want to try to get him on. They pointed out that the Union Jack, the banner for the UK, was flying upside down, like flag in distress at the White House, and that's not done on accident. So for those that are new to this, there is a certain paradigm that we're presenting as a possibility that the British Empire never really ended, that they transferred from a colonial martial power to a banking financial power where they can run their operations through controlling the valves of access to financing projects throughout the world. It's pretty, once you think of the world in that way, once you look at the Commonwealth nations and the SWIFT system, our payment system, the Fed, where all the clearing houses are operated out of Europe, the Bank of International Settlements. This isn't a new idea. It's just becoming more and more obvious that that's what's happened. This was in the realm of conspiracy theories, but really it was just a matter of ignorance that people didn't follow the money. What we assume is starting to happen, what I'm guessing is starting to happen, is that system is starting to break apart finally due to internal pressures as well as external. The king is a representation of the sovereign authority of this system. It doesn't mean the king controls everything. When I say the king of England. But if you think through your childhood, there's this weird obsession that American media has with the royal family. Always has. And you kind of go like, why are we so interested in these people? And, from a male perspective, we might think like, oh, women are just interested in princesses and queens and the symbolism of royalty and high status. And it's just something that's like, I don't know, it gravitates towards people that's what I assumed. I just assumed people watch too many Disney movies and were just really interested in the royal family because of that. Like, that's
Yeah,
honestly what I thought it was.
I've often wondered why we were, like when, was it Prince, Harry and William and all these other people are getting married and they're sitting there in this
Yeah.
wall-to-wall coverage over here. You're like, but we broke away from the colonial system. Why do we care to watch this? I could never understand that myself.
And it's
Mm.
pushed so damn hard. But when you legally go and try to find who is legally the sovereign of any nation state, people go, well, it's the people. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true at all. Because you're talking about who's legally in control of assets. You have to look at it from a financial perspective.
Yeah,
Who
who's running the money?
who controls the money, but also who controls the property, the assets, the entities, who has. And then you hear from a part of the language that comes out of Europe and Davos is stakeholder capitalism, which let's just tear apart that phrase for a second. Stakeholder capitalism. It's like, okay, you're implying there's certain stakeholders and capitalism is designed for them, which makes sense. It's the owners, but they're basically saying it's the owners. So who are the owners? It's really hard to detect when you're because we have things in this world called blind trusts, where the highest net worth families in the world, not even the highest, just even people that I mean, the common man has access to trust now, where you can go and start a trust, put all your money in there. It's not taxable. It's in, if you have access to certain banks, it's offshore, so it can't be audited. And the trust is under the control of a escrow account or an agent through the bank, so that you are legally safe from any litigation regarding said account. It's basically a get out of jail free card for financial, for planting assets. And the only entity in the world that controls banks that are able to do this, that, because the thing is, the Chinese probably do this, but the trick comes down to cross-border payments, when you have to take your money from said blind trust or trust to another country or start moving it around. In order to move money around, you need access to the infrastructure for the money flows. And the only entity on planet Earth that has designed that or built something that is global in reach and scale and scope is the British Empire. And it still exists to this day. People know about the Cayman Islands, Jersey, the Isle of Jersey off of the UK. Basically, islands are the best because you can say, well, they're a sovereign nation state. They make a treaty and are allowed certain privileges to have certain banks chartered to basically be immune from the law. The only way to really go in and audit these banks would be through military force.
Yeah.
A lot of these banks are in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, and we just happen to have a fleet down there keeping an eye on Venezuela.
We have reopened a couple bases down there. It's been interesting. They shut them all down, and we got Roosevelt Roses back up and running down in the crossroads of the Caribbean.
Yep. So,
yeah,
Ian Burlingame, who we had on a while ago, he believes that the king and many royal families of Europe are actually held hostage by this banking system, that basically the court eunuchs, the underwriters, the people, not the underwriters, sorry, they're under the middle managers have over time taken over power from the original sovereign. And this is not hard to believe because you just have to go back into history, all the way back to Babylon, to Mesopotamia, the Middle Ages. The eternal war going on between the crown was really between the crown and its middle managers, principally the priest class, but also the banking class. And this is where this is where people start exploring the Jewish issue in regards to the banking thing, because that in the Middle Ages, it's not that Jews writ large were all a part of it. That's not what it was. They were actually called court Jews. It was a derogatory term.
Okay.
It wasn't that they were from Palestine or their family was from, it wasn't that at all. They were built into they were people that came from mercantilist families that had access to networks that allowed for money transfers across borders, across civilizations, all throughout the world. And they've been doing this for thousands of years. And the only way, because most royals were broke, if you go back into history, they did not have a lot of money. As soon as the war started, instantly they were bankrupt. They had to go to the financialists, to the bankers. And it's not that all the bankers were even Jewish, but over time they became more and more like that. But a lot of them were Italians. A lot of them were really just families that didn't have access to the royal bloodlines, that could never be in charge. So instead of trying to make a play for the throne, they made a play for the throne covertly under the surface by basically bankrupting the throne and indebting them to themselves. So the question, so it's like, if we can't be the sovereign, we'll make the sovereign indebted to us. And that's what's been happening for thousands of years. And what I think is happening is that may finally that may be coming to an end. It's at least being exposed. We're yet to see if they're going to be, if the nationalists or the loyalists, I would say, to the integrity of the crown are going to be successful. Something that's hard for people to understand is I don't look at the founding fathers as anti-monarchists. They were more loyal than the British or the English at the time in many ways to the essence of what the crown was there to protect. And the crown is there to protect the civilization and its peoples. The reason they're not doing that is because they've been subverted by basically debt entrapment. So I don't know if that's true yet, but it's very, very plausible to me. The problem with that is it's hard to tell because we can't ask these people firsthand and be like, hey, blink twice if you're being held hostage. But if you watch how they act, how they behave, they don't act like free thinking or free agents. Every movement is choreographed. Every word is choreographed. They're not just spouting off. This is what's so interesting about Trump. He doesn't really have a choreographer. He's just rolling with it. So that's why people are going, maybe a certain group of people over time have set, as certain families have been setting the world up, getting all their power together, because you can't just take something like this down overnight. That over time, they've been building their power, building their resources, getting everything lined up to maybe finally taking out this third rail that has hijacked every civilization on the face of the planet. Chinese, Iran, the Persians, Russians, everyone is held hostage by these people. All of them. So the Union Jack being flown upside down at the White House is a signal of a nation in distress, that that there's an entity inside. It's basically in the military, if you went to a fort and you called in and the codes were all clear, you said the passwords, you did the right hand signals, and everyone's like, okay, you're clear to come in. But if that flag was upside down, that meant that the entire integrity of that fort was compromised.
Yeah, it's a sign of compromise or
duress.
a state of emergency or duress.
Yeah. So I don't think that was an accident. I think that would be ridiculous to assume that they just messed up by flying the English flag upside down. It could be seen as a sign of disrespect, but historically, in the English tradition especially, that's not what it's used for. So, and then if you look at, because people are like, oh, he's just invading Iran because he's a bad guy. Like, he just wants to be a tough guy. Like, that's a very sophisticated argument. Oh, he just wants to be a tough guy. But anyone who knows anything about the Pentagon, you're not going to get the Pentagon or the military industrial complex to do anything unless it's in their interest. Well, This could be in their interest as well. Maybe they've had enough of these people. And Trump says this over and over, and I've said this so many times. He keeps saying they are incompetent and not capable of executing even what you think they're capable of doing. And even if you believe in the agenda of the banking mercantilist class, the one world government, global financial transfer system, globalism, even if you buy into that, he's making the case they are not capable to even execute on that. So unless you want it all to fall apart, we're going to have the empire retreat, go back into our nation states, and start building them back up again, because we're all insolvent. So that's what I think is happening, because that's what the underlying economic fundamentals of our nation states are extremely dire. And they've been that way for a very long time. And something has to give. There has to be some adult in the room that says, I don't care how corrupt they are, that has to go, this is retarded and we're going to all die if we don't stop this right now. This is going to all fall apart. You can't run the world through psyops and gaslighting. It doesn't work that way. You have to know how to make things, do things, and kill things effectively if you're going to rule the world. And these people cannot do it.
Yeah,
they're good at gaslighting, but it only works as long as the people keep buying into it. And it's over. People will not continue buying into this. That's why, and now we're having to believe that aliens and interdimensional demons are coming in, according to the vice president, and we're going to it's like literal. And I mean, people that hear that think I'm going like, oh no, he's crazy. The vice president went on and said that we think that interdimensional aliens are attacking us or basically coming from the center of the earth or under the water. That just happened, and people are just like, and I understand why, because what do you do with that? So I really think that that's to me is a desperate attempt to try to make us go crazy. I think that might be the play, to make the population clinically insane.
Well, you don't know. It's like Glenn Beck said, what is up will be down, what is down will be up, and what is left will be right, and right will be left. It's just spinning it all around. And how do you know, how can you find your center? How do you find your location if everything's coming at you from every direction? It's like sensory overload. It's like you just can't, you know what I mean? That makes sense?
Yeah, it's flood the zone. That's a tactic. Information overload. That's an actual tactic. It's also similar to like jamming acoustics or jamming radio signals. You just flood, and like people think, oh, they just cut the signal off. No, they flood it.
They overwhelm the transmitter,
so nothing can be picked up. Exactly.
Yeah. They put a carrier wave out that overwhelms the broadcast carrier wave.
Right.
That's how you
that's what's happening. They're overwhelming. They're using carrier. They're overwhelming using carrier waves.
And
information train. Yeah.
Now let's be clear. I'm not saying there isn't aliens. It's just there's so much going on. How do you know that it's not just the psyop, that they're just trying to confirmation bias and push you, just overwhelm the system?
This is where people think like I was never into like anything spiritual beyond, Christianity and learning the Bible and going to church and doing all that. Spirituality has changed definitions for me over time. I thought at first it was just woo-woo mystery stuff that you can't put your finger on. What I've realized, it's actually... So, I don't know if I can do this. I'm trying to cast a shadow.
Remember last time you turned lights off, you had problems.
Yeah. So, whatever. Just a shadow. You can see the shadow. Let's imagine you can see my hand and there's a shadow projected on the screen. You can't do that. I don't know the best way to do that. Maybe on a piece of paper. Doesn't matter. People can conceptualize a shadow. Here we go. There, shadow.
Yeah.
So is the shadow is the physical world that we see as it intersects with the membrane or the medium where light hits and we can see things. But we don't see what's causing the projection necessarily unless we infer from the shadow. Like imagine you can't see my hand and you're just going off of the shadow. Well, we could infer that there's something hand-like behind the scenes casting that said shadow. So that's the spiritual world in a nutshell. It's the cause, and we think the effect is everything. We don't look at the cause of why we think the way we do, why humans are the way they are, why the world has manifested the way it does. We don't do that because honestly, we're just not trained to. We're not taught to. If we were taught to, we would think that way. Our education system only focuses on the shadow. And our churches. Our churches only focus on the shadow. They try, but they basically just say, well, it's all God. It's all God. Everything that we can't see, it's all God. Which is a safe bet, you know. If you know something's there, but it's a mystery, just attribute it to God. And okay, that's good. That's fine. That's better than not saying anything and saying it's all random like the atheists do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not good enough, in my opinion. It's like, come on, we can be a bit more specific about certain things. Like, why is it that our conscience tells us that certain things are right and certain things are wrong? Or where do our dreams come from? Where does a thought come from? You see what I mean? Like, it gets really complicated when you really look at it that way. It's like, because it's like, oh, I had a thought. It's like, you had a thought, or it just came to me. It's like, from where? How?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of gets into, soul. Where does your spirit come from? And,
Yeah, so the word spirit is the unseen world from which things emanate from into our reality. That's all that means in my world view. So
okay.
But when we're talking about aliens, we have to first understand what makes an alien an alien. Is it that they're just not from Earth?
No. The word alien goes way back. Someone from another land. You have aliens that people who come in from other countries are technically aliens.
Right. That's what I mean. But in the context of what when you say aliens, we're talking about little green men in spaceships, right?
Yeah, people from
in this context.
Space.
Yeah, that visitors from planets are coming in. Okay, let's say that that's a possibility. I'll entertain that. Okay. So first, are we talking about 3-dimensional beings? Physical, like we can touch, feel, smell, see, and they physically come in on craft? Well, the only way that they'd be able to traverse that kind of a distance would be to go faster than light. There's no other way. Even if you went at light speed, it would take too long. So that means either
that's why there's light years.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. It takes like still 1,000 years traveling at the speed of light to get to our nearest galaxy. Well, assuming there's life on there. Now, maybe it's not 1,000. Maybe my math's off. It doesn't matter. The point is, it takes a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, even you're talking years. Like I think our closest neighbors, like 12 light years away.
Is it 20 light years or something less?
It's like 20 light years or something. It's like
yeah, maybe you're right. It's less, but whatever. Still 20 years. Okay. Then that means you have to have a craft. You got to have so they got to be basically a closed loop system where they don't need a lot of nutrients, or they got, they can,
how do you produce that much power to go that fast?
Exactly. To produce that kind of power, you need to create a power system that transcends the speed of light, basically. So
we don't.
Let's assume that you're able to do that. Okay. Let's say they come in. Are we saying that these beings are on a different conscience structure from humans? Like when they come and see us, would we be able to communicate and say anything at all? Well, if they built craft and they've mastered geometrics and technology well enough, that means we do have a common place. We have sci-fi movies all about things like this, so we'd be like, oh, you're like the thing in the movie we made. We'd be like, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's more complicated, but yeah. And then we'd have like a reference point. Okay. So that means we're in the same conscious wavelength to some degree. Which begs the question, where did they come from? Who started them?
Yeah, there has to be a place of origin.
Source. Yeah. And the spiritual kind of world where people talk about things like this, they call it source. So source, origin, God, same thing. But that would also mean, in a sense, because once you understand that all things emanate from source, all conscious beings, our consciousness emanates from source, well, that means we're the same, in a sense. So even if they were aliens, they wouldn't really be. We'd be kind of humans on a different evolutionary timeline, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But the idea that they're like a totally different devoid species, but that's not what the government is saying in these hearings. They're saying they're interdimensional beings. That we're basically talking to phantasms or ghost-like figures that are coming in, which would make more sense because that beats the problem of getting massive spaceships across massive distances faster than the speed of light if you're doing information transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if conscious beings were being uploaded across through faster than the speed of light? And you remember I showed you that image of the galaxies in the human mind and how there's these webs.
Interconnect. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think is the thing that's connecting all the galaxies and the stars together? What is that?
Energy. Well, yeah.
We would call it plasma.
Yeah. Okay.
And basically plasmoidal jets shooting out of the axes of planets, galaxies, star structures, interconnecting and spindling into like a giant web of a system. So the point is, what I'm really trying to get at is, even if they were having entities coming in, which I'm open to that potentially, are they just humans on a different timeline or wavelength, or because what they're trying to sell us is that these things are here to save us from ourselves and then offer us access to God, basically. They're the new priest class, these alien beings that we're going to listen to the government and they're going to come and tell us how to live our lives and all this other crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it looks like they're setting this up for, because I'm sorry, people, they're the ones having hearings about this out in the open. It's not my fault people have not listened to this. It's right out there on C-SPAN. Just watch it. It's been going on for years. Just literally YouTube, congressional hearings, interdimensional beings, boom, it'll pop right up. So I would suspect the government's lying to us. Just wild bet, you know? When have they ever told us the truth about anything?
I
literally
like
name
that.
one time they've ever told us the truth about anything. Anything.
The only time I ever had someone from the government actually tell me something that was truthful is when you go into the military base and they say, park your truck over there and walk in here. Other than
they're good at giving instructions, but in terms of like, this is what truth is. Not one time I've looked for years. Maybe there's something out there. They can't. The whole artifice is built on bullshit. All of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they keep their power. So what's the ultimate power? Well, we'll just bring in a higher power above the government to come in and tell the stupid humans how to live their lives. And then we'll give them access to we'll start rolling out this high level technology and say, well, the alien showed us how to make it.
Spock.
And that'll validate what we're saying. No, you don't get to see the aliens because we're the government. We talk to the aliens. You don't talk to them. We talk to them.
Yeah. Trust us.
Just trust us. Yeah. No, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
We're the government and we're here to help.
I do believe what Reagan said is true. There's nothing more terrifying than the statement, we're from the government, we're here to help you.
Absolutely. You know, there's a funny anecdote about Reagan that he had Steven Spielberg come into the White House. He had a private showing of E.T. before it was released in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And Reagan stood up, and this is on record. He stood up after the movie was over in front of the little theater where everyone was and said, "As we know, what we just watched is not fiction." There's a story, there was not a story, but this is on the record as well, that he was shown images of large spacecraft in the rings of Saturn. And I showed you a video of this about maybe a year ago. I could pull it up.
Go ahead and pull it up again.
Gorbachev. All right. You may have to cut this out. It's taking a minute.
Yeah, we'll just shorten it.
Yeah. No, I got it right here. Hang on.
How long is this going to take?
About 5 minutes.
Just remember, you got to stop every so often and commentate on it.
Well, what would you do if the United States were attacked by someone from outer space? Would you help us? I said, no doubt about it. He said, we too. To get along. And I stimulated that in every way, and I believe that that's very important, particularly when leaders such as the heads of the Soviet Union and the United States at that time meet, because until the Geneva summit for 6 years, there hadn't been summits between the Soviet and American leaders at a time when the situation was very tense. So my final view of President Reagan is that he was a great president. He was a person who represented the right wing of the Republican Party and who was able to go beyond many stereotypes. And despite all the criticism from some members of his own team, from some people who are present here today, he still made reciprocal steps, working with Gorbachev, working with the Soviet Union. I would like to thank George Shultz.
All right, pause it. What are we talking about here? What do you think? So you think that he was a unifier? Is that what we're going off on?
Sorry, had it muted. It's Reagan. Look, I think when you enter into the position of the principal, ostensible decision maker, which the president ostensibly, when I say ostensibly, meaning that's what it looks like on the outside, that the president is the one who makes decisions. Legally, that's the case, especially when it comes to matters of national security.
Well, we proved that Biden.
Yeah. Really, I mean, it started before, I mean, it started a long time. I mean, they've been the middle managers, the ones that want to run it from behind the scenes, were trying to overthrow the power of the presidency for a very long time. That is, or the king, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's the same pressures from underneath that are constantly trying to run the show. But even if you're not, let's say, a good person, and you find yourself in the office of the president, you might get pretty annoyed with these ankle biters coming around you trying to manipulate you and control you, because you got to have a bit of an ego to be a president or a king or a ruler. So even if you're an evil son of a bitch, you may be like, screw these guys. I'm not going to why would I just go along with this when I can, I'll make something bigger, better happen than what they want to, because what these people do is just manage chaos. They don't want to solve the underlying problems. I think Reagan wanted to solve underlying problems. I think John F. Kennedy really wanted to solve underlying problems, root causes. I think Nixon wanted to solve root causes. It wasn't until George Bush that we finally started getting Manchurian candidate presidents.
When he was president, I mean, that was one of the first elections I ever participated in. And you don't want to think that the guy that you voted for is like that. If you look back at it, I look back at it now, and I have so much skepticism over some of the really bad ideas and stuff he got us involved in.
He didn't run anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. That George Bush did not run the country at all. At all.
Yeah.
That's what people need to get. That's what I knew this when I was 10 years old. And it blows my mind to this day that people think that he actually ran anything. Like, give me your evidence to show me how he was a free agent. I would love to see, not you, but anybody, just somebody show me something. Because everything was, he's reading from the script of other people, all the newspapers, Council on Foreign Relations, all the international groups, they were all speaking the same language at the same time. That only can happen through coordination.
Yeah.
And then Obama was another incarnation of that. A creature of intelligence of the CIA, of the middle managers that have hijacked the principal, the executive. We've not had a legitimate government for a while. We've had a bunch of pirates come in and steal it.
Mm-hmm. I could say that, yeah.
And then you go like, well, how did George Bush manage this? Again, wrong question. George Bush, first, look at his dad. Ran the CIA, aide-de-camp to Allen Dulles, right in the middle of all this stuff. And he didn't run anything either. He's a slave. All these people are slaves. Reagan, I think, he's an actor from California, Americana ideologue, probably to some degree, and was probably viewed as a useful idiot that could be manipulated and used. And he was a bit of a useful idiot, and he was manipulated and used, especially in the second term after he was shot.
I do definitely think that when he was way different after.
Yeah. But in the beginning, and especially once he learned how the thing worked, I think he was actually kind of pissed off about how all that worked. I think but he had no allies. He had no people around him. There was no structure set up because this had happened. So there's no school or anyone that can teach you how to fight something like this until you get into the middle of the arena.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he tried his best. I think Nixon tried his best. And I think as time goes on, people are going to realize Nixon helped set up the Trump era. I think he helped create conditions for an entity like Trump to manifest.
The thing that gets me about Nixon is he did so many bad things.
Like what?
Well, he got us
Compared
off
to
the
like
he got
who?
he got us off the gold standard.
Well, kind of.
He started the EPA.
Yes,
So
but I mean, a big part of it is, the states create a problem and then the federal government wants to come in and start fixing it. And he's like, okay, we've got all these little companies doing all these, starting to infuse microplastics or all this other stuff or contaminating the environment. We need to regulate this at the federal level for the country. That's true. We do.
mm-hmm.
But then you just take that entity and then use it literally to do the same thing. So that's a part of the problem is, the problem, you create something to fix it. It gets hijacked by the next person coming in and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. This is why monarchists believe in, I lean more toward being a monarchist than a Republican at this point. Not
Why?
because I don't know because democracy does not work.
That's the reason we're not a democracy.
I know, but I'm saying anytime you get a popular vote to decide on these things, it will not work. You have to have somebody tied to the civilizational health. Not just the country's health, the civilizational health. That's what a sovereign is.
We have to have someone with skin in the game. The problem.
That's right. That's what I mean. You have to have your family's reputation on the line. You have to have everything about you on the line. But the problem is the monarchs, the sovereigns have all been hijacked by the middle class. And we've been dealing with this problem, literally, like I said, for thousands of years. This is not a new problem. It's very old. People don't know what I'm talking about. Watch Game of Thrones. It's actually a pretty good representation of what I'm talking about.
Well, I just can't accept the idea that someone trying to exert sovereignty over me. And when you have a monarchy, that's what they're essentially doing.
No, but you submit yourself to authority every day you wake up. We like to talk a big game that we, the people, are sovereign. No, we're not. And a part of me goes, I wish we were. The problem is the people are retarded. Why would I submit myself to a group of people that cannot read?
Well, it's not that
literally
they
cannot
read.
read.
They will not read.
I'm saying even if they wanted to, I don't think they can't. I have sat here and tried for almost a decade to get certain people to watch one frickin' video, to just open up to one thing.
Yeah.
I've had a 0.001% success rate.
I don't think that has to do with, I think it's kind of.
Well, I'm a bit of an ass, so I there's that. So,
yeah, I was going to say probably it's your tactic in which way you're kind of doing it.
No, there's that for sure. No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, known you a long time, bud. But,
yeah. But forget about watching a video. I'm talking about like reading and getting in depth into your history and who you are as a people. The only kind of people that were able to do that were people that had long family lineages in a civilization that could teach multi-generationally within the family structure. You cannot, it doesn't work otherwise. It's not like I'm not happy that I'm saying this. I don't want a king. I'm with you. I don't want someone to be in charge of me, but the problem is I've got 1 million people in charge of me and none of them are competent or sane enough. I'd rather have one that I can blame. And if he messes around too much and makes too many mistakes, we cut his head off and on to the next one. I'd rather have a singular principle of responsibility to deal with than 1 million bureaucrats.
The problem is too.
It's sensory.
It's
overload. It's signal overload. It's jamming the signal for human evolution, for human progression, to get shit done. And to grift and graft money. It's designed that way. It's meant to do that. And you see these people that gravitate toward that kind of career path, and they're all parasites.
Well, the
All of them.
problem is that it wasn't designed to do that. They have designed it. They've redesigned it to do that. Until very recently, when people would go into public life, they would come out worse off than they went in. So it was a sacrifice to go in there. And now you have people that go in there. What?
When did that start? I don't know what you're saying that it was like, I don't remember a time in American history where that's the case.
We've had several people who were congressmen and senators.
Yeah, sure. There's individuals. I'm talking
No,
about
what I'm
writ
saying
large.
Some of the original members of, the first Continental Congress, and then you're talking about the first,
the founding fathers, like half of them lost everything, and
they lost everything.
They had real sacrifice. I agree with that. I agree with that. But that was in its formation, and those guys weren't actually in political control. They were in the planners. For the most part. Some of them were in political a lot of them were. They were like they were upper class Americans, no doubt about it. So they
were the wealthy. There was some of the
No, you're right. Yeah. But I would say that was the only time. I don't know of a time after that where there were always people of conscience that ended up being poor after they left public service. That happens, but over time, the system exhausts people like that because people of conscience go in and they know they're going to lose everything. And people of conscience tend to not be crazy wealthy either.
Well, that's the reason in New Mexico for 110 years. Well, we're at 114 years. The people who serve in our Senate and our House, they don't receive a salary. They work for free.
I didn't know that.
But they just ruined it because they voted themselves up to be paid. So
that literally, this year? When did that happen?
This last year. That was one of the agendas that our governor passed, is to get the Senate. I think they should cover the expenses. They go and meet our Congress, our House, the State House and the Senate meet for 30 days one year and 60 days the next. Why do they need to get a $70,000 a year?
Yeah, you've told me that before. That's wild. Do you know of any other states that do that? That do that short of a legislative period? Because I'm in Texas, and it's like half the year they're in session.
Well, I thought it was like every 2 years. They were in for a few years.
Yeah, it's every 2 years, but they're in for like a long time. It's like a long time. And then emergency sessions are called all the time.
Well, in New Mexico, so you have and there's laws that say that you have to get you can't really do anything till the budget and everything's passed. So you have to do all the people's work before you can go and do all the other stuff. The cool thing is a lot of this stuff gets so caught up in the committees and stuff that you can never get anything done. And gridlock is the best kind of government you can have. And I don't care if that's Republicans or Democrats. The thing that concerns me is this is not supposed to be a fast system. It's supposed to have people that are not highly emotional, making rational decisions on laws. But they wanted to go fast because they get the momentum of the people at the time to push their agenda because it has to be done now, kind of crap.
A part of the problem is, and I agree with you, I agree with everything you said, that it's not supposed to be a fast system. You're right. The problem is that because of globalization, and I'm not saying that globalization is inherently, to me, when I say globalization, what do you hear?
Depends on what you're talking about.
Right. That's kind of what I mean. So basically,
when you say globalization,
networking of the planet, where you have individuals, entities, companies interoperating between borders at mass scale across the whole planet.
The problem that the globalists have is they want everyone to be one world government, but you have too many different kinds of cultures, to make that work. And no, and if everyone's working for one thing, then no one's working for their own self-interest, which it sounds selfish, but if you're working towards your own self-interest, then actually, if everyone's compromising, everyone comes out.
Elon Musk went to, and I'm not a fan of Elon Musk at all, but he went to the World Government Forum, which it's called that, by the way, folks. It's called the World Government Forum. And not the World Economic Forum, the World Governance Forum. And he went on there and he said, you can't have a singular system in the world. You have to have firewalls called nation states set up to protect the body of the whole planet, like in case mistakes were made. You can't unify the system. You'll destroy it. So he flat out goes called, and anyone with an IQ over 180 that is, and also not
Over
totally
80,
corrupt.
not 180.
I don't know. I'm being generous because I don't know. I don't know because I see people
Do you
with
know what the
IQs over
average
160.
What's the
No,
the average IQ?
it's like room temperature. It's like 75, 70.
The thing that I find interesting is that when you're a high IQ people, you just assume everyone else is as intelligent as you.
Well, that kind of drops you in the IQ pool for me if you assume that, like, in my opinion. But I don't put a lot of stock in IQ either. Like, IQ is just one measurement, but still, it is indicative of systems analysis. So I think it is important. It is an important measurement tool because most people can't visualize a system in their mind.
The average IQ of in the United States is 85.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's actually pretty good.
You're considered to be above average IQ. So 68% of the population of the United States has an IQ of 85.
Yeah. In the United States, and this is why our country is so damn important, is because that IQ level is there because we have not been a handout society. We're one where it's been tough.
Have you ever read what the different categories of IQ are?
What do you mean?
So if you have an IQ below 70, you're developmentally disabled.
Yes.
Between 70 and 184, you're borderline mentally impaired. 85 and 114, average intelligence. Between 115 and 125, above average intelligence. And if you have an IQ of over 130, you're highly gifted, or gifted and highly gifted intelligence.
Yeah.
Dean, I wonder what, since we're on IQ, we're going to go down the rabbit hole.
I bet you got a pretty good IQ.
Me? Oh, I've been tested. I know what
if
my
that's
IQ.
What you're looking, I'm not gonna say I've taken it once, but I just don't abide by it, and I don't like putting a number to things like this, especially with me personally, but because intelligence is way too complicated to be put to a number, but it's like around 130 for me.
For you, that's what your IQ is?
But I did a quick online one and I didn't do an in-depth one, so it could be bullshit. I don't know.
Well, I got tested. I think it was 145, if I remember right.
That's I wouldn't be surprised. No, I think you definitely have like an innate. You definitely have excellent pattern recognition skills. You would not have been able, like, very few people. I've tried to sit down and talk with so many people that are and try to get them to hear me, and you're like one of the very few people that can hear me.
Well, the problem I have is I mean, and I'm not saying that to brag. I mean, I don't like people. I don't tell that to it. Well, I just told the world. It doesn't matter. The thing that I find interesting is you talk to people that think they're intelligent and they'll have an IQ of like 80, 90. And then I've talked to people that are certified geniuses. I had a friend of mine named Jerry, and he had patents on the Abrams tank and missiles and stuff. And the thing that people don't understand is intelligent people try to make things simple, and then stupid people try to make things complicated.
Yeah. Well, it's a masking tactic to make people think that you're smarter than you are, and when really you don't know what you're talking about. But another problem with the high IQ people that I've noticed is, yeah, they're really good at like pragmatic, practical things. But when it comes to social intelligence or spiritual intelligence or emotion, like, or how to integrate all the different complex systems, they're not able to really do that. They seem to be hyper focused into, yeah.
Hold. Sorry about that. I've never said what my IQ, but I've been tested, like a several day test on my IQ, and
Yeah, 145 is great. It's amazing. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would test at that level, to be honest with you.
I bet you're up there, man. You're not.
But that's what I mean, though. It's not the best measuring stick for certain things. Like, it's very, the IQ measurement is very much in the material world of patterns. Like, there's different patterns you can see at different levels and higher levels that require different forms of intelligence. What I feel like, I don't know why I'm the way I am, but I feel like a part of my role is like I'm the wanderer, I'm the walker between worlds in a certain sense. I'm a 90s kid. I remember analog. I remember, the way kids used to live, kind of like, what it was like to live as a kid in the 80s. So the 90s was kind of like the 80s, a little bit more, in the media sphere. These was more playing in the dirt, being outside, but these kids still had that, cul-de-sac
I was born in
kids.
82, and we were probably, my parents still, we would leave the house and they'd lock the door behind us. And if we came in before the lights came on the end of the street, we were in trouble. They wanted us to be gone the whole day.
I would have loved to have lived in that time, but then I came of age in the age of social media, right when it started. That's when, like,
I remember when they announced.
Yeah. No, I got my first Hotmail account when I was 10.
I got my first cell phone when I was 22.
Wow.
Because I had to pay for it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was.
This is a very weird time to grow up, no matter what era you were born in, or age, but within this last generational cycle, there will never be a time in human history like what we just went through. Nothing like it ever again.
Well, it was just the idea that there was no safety net. You just left and went and did something, come home, and people would just be like, okay, well, he's home. And it was nice because you would leave work and you would drive home and listen to the radio. You didn't have people calling you or trying to communicate with you. You would literally pick up the phone before I left, and I'd tell my parents, I'm on my way home.
Yeah.
And then hang up, and then, 40 minutes later, show up at home.
Yeah. But it's also that you're clicked up with a group of kids, and everyone, it's assumed that you're not all going to die at the same time.
Well, the problem I've had is I've never been a big social. I like talking to people, but I've never had a big social group.
Even as a kid, you didn't have like friends that you would go hang. Like, what'd you do? You just wandered around?
I had probably like 2 or 3 friends. I didn't have like.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. 2 or 3 is all you need. Like that was me too. I didn't have like a huge cadre. It was a couple guys,
Yeah, I always.
Go ahead.
I always felt really awkward around people. I've always been kind of more of a loner.
Absolutely. No, me too. 100%.
Because it's just like you would say stuff and you just watch their expression. You're like, well, they didn't understand me. I'm going to have to walk away from this. So,
yeah. You got to like, a parent should teach their children to not care so much about, like, that's why parents are so important, because they validate the thoughts and existence of their children. Like, if you give them confidence by listening to them and being very attentive, not overindulgent of like hanging on every word of a child, but correcting them, engaging with them, like saying, no, we say the word like this, but do it in a loving, kind of calm way. And then as they get older, they start realizing the kids around them are just not as developed as they are. And that gives them more confidence, and they're just kind of like, oh, okay.
the thing I liked is, and I've talked about this before, is I realized what the difference between my generation, because I'm in basically an in-between generation.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, but you absolutely are. Yes.
Because I'm between the millennial and I'm between Gen X. There's that like 3 or 4 year where you're in between generations. And I went to this hotel and this lady had a name badge on her chest and said he, him, his. And I didn't know what that meant. It didn't register to me. And I asked the lady, I go, what is that all about? She goes, well, that's how I identify. And I'm like, well, I think that's the difference between me and you. She goes, well, what's the difference? I said, I don't care what you think about me. I walk out, I present myself, and I don't try to change your opinion. You want me to have a different opinion.
Obviously. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. So it's just.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's what's so dumb about the whole thing. Like, even if it was a valid argument that you could change your sex, who gives a shit?
Yeah. The thing is,
shut up. Just shut up. Everyone shut up. Like, just mind your own, no one cares.
Well, it's not that they, hey, if you want to, hey, do what you want to do. It's just, don't get mad at me when I look at you and you're clearly a female and say, ma'am. And it's like the thing that was the takeaway is that she got really mad because I misidentified her. And I'm like, and I looked at her and go, what was my intention? My intent was as I was trying to be polite.
Yes.
And where I came
of course. And anyone with, yes.
I'm trying to be nice to you. I'm trying to be polite, and you're making an ordeal over this. I'm trying to understand from your point of view, and you're getting offended.
I have a friend of mine who is, I would consider him to be a teacher of mine in many ways, because I've learned a lot from him. That, like, he's younger than me, but he taught me so much, or opened the doors to so many things that I could see are true. But there are some things that me and him are just totally like, I can't, like, he's like, well, these are lost, these souls are just in transmutation between the male and female soul. I'm like, bro, look, there's a pragmatic, that's the thing with him though. He's been in his head and his mind so much that these concepts are illusory or imaginary. But in the real world, if you want to make babies, you better know who the female is. Duh.
The thing,
like, freaking idiots. Like, this is like, that's really what it all is about. It's not about your feelings, about how you feel about yourself. It's about keeping the whole thing going.
Well, the whole argument that I've gotten into with some of these professionals is literally they were talking to my daughter and how do you feel about your gender? And I like that. What are you talking about? Feel about your gender?
Which daughter is this?
My oldest daughter.
Your oldest? Okay.
And then they come up and they're like,
oh my goodness, I'd want to strangle somebody.
Oh, I just looked at her and I was so annoyed. I'm like, what sucks is you have a college degree and you don't know what a man and a woman is. It's like, well, you're assigned that at birth. They go, have you ever had children? Have you ever watched a person be born and brought into the world? They're not assigned to birth. Gender. The baby comes out, you catch it, and you go, oh, look at a girl. It's an observation. It's not an assignment. And to say that you're assigned a gender is just the most convoluted thing
Well,
I've
I would
ever
also say assigned by who? I would ask, like, so who's assigning
the
said
doctors
birth?
assign your gender at
The
birth. No,
doctor
they
or
don't.
God? Well, no, to me, it's like, so you're saying God assigned you something, right?
Well, no, the people who put your name down, well, when they put it down on your gender down on your birth certificate,
Right. They're saying
they're
that it's an
assigning.
arbitrary, yeah, it's some male doctor saying, oh, I see a
No,
male
they assign it
genitalia.
because
It's
they
a,
wite it
yeah,
down,
you're right. Okay. That's what they're
and
saying.
I'm
Oh
just
my
like,
goodness. Yeah.
I'm like, that is not how it works. It's an observation. You write down boy, girl. It's not this convoluted. You're assigned. It's just.
I do believe that is going to come to a cultural end, though. I think people have had enough of it. I really do. It's not going to work.
Well, forcing people to accept something that's not real, it's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
And then keep forcing it.
No,
It's
it
causing
well,
problems.
it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
it will not work.
You
It
can't
never
get
will
there from
work.
here.
It's not going to
Yeah.
make them more peaceful. It's only going to create more and more problems because now we got to change all this other stuff and you got to change language. And God bless Americans, we're too ornery and lazy to have people tell us how and what we say. Like, we're not going to change how we speak. We're just not going to do it.
Well, here's how stubborn we are. We still have the imperial system.
Thank God. God
And
save
it's
the
like,
king.
well, what's funny is where's the other place in the world that uses it?
Well, that's all right. So, no, you go ahead and say it.
Great Britain is the
Well,
other
yeah,
place. Yeah, they still use miles.
right. Now, so do you know how that system how it started?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a measurement of the world.
Yes. Based off of, um, sacred geometry, basically, or what the Masons call sacred geometry.
Or the imperial system or the metric system?
Imperial.
I know an inch is based off of so many kernels of grain.
Well, also a mile is associated with the circumference of the world itself.
But they say the metric system is they start at the top and measured all the way around the world, so the top to bottom, and then they came up with a fractional system to figure out then that's what the whole system's based on. The only thing that's better about the metric system is it's a base 10 system.
Yes.
And it's easier to understand.
No, that is true. I will give the metric system that. It is easier to understand. If you're trying to actually build things like in the real, it actually is. But when it comes to keeping things true to physical reality, I would say the imperial system is closer. I do think there is a way to make it better. I'm just not.
Well, they've
I'm
done
not
it
quite
several
there.
times. There's several different ways of measuring.
Yeah.
You have nautical, the knot system. You have the mile system. You have the metric system. Those are just three right off the top of my head.
I'm talking about just real distances, like taking a stretch of rope and like going from here to there. Like knots is like speed. It's like that's a relative.
You got to measure the distance.
Yeah. Anyway, so look, we kind of diverted off of Gorbachev, but Gorbachev was sitting here talking about his interaction with Reagan. And he kind of just was like, well, was Reagan a unifier? Do I need to go back and play this again? Because Gorbachev said, I talked to Reagan and he was saying that if we had an invasion from outer space, would you come to help us? Now, people could say that, oh, he was just using that as an example. But the reason why I'm saying that may not be the case is, one, the E.T. story I just told you, all the other things that were going on in space. I mean, we haven't talked about it yet. We can go in depth. Dark Journalist does a much better job at opening that world up. I highly recommend people watch him. I don't agree with everything he says necessarily, but I also can't necessarily disprove it. But he's generally on point. But the big thing was, at the time of the Cold War, the two biggest powers were the Soviet Union and the United States in terms of martial power, in terms of real power you could exert. Because that's really, people need to understand this. They think power comes from, where do you think, this is actually a really good question. Where do you think people think power comes from? Most people.
I don't know. I've always thought it came from God.
Right, but that's you personally. But I'm saying
So I've
most
never
people in the world. I agree with that. I'm just saying most people in the world. Where do you think most people think power comes from?
I've never really looked into it, to be completely transparent.
Just your gut. Like, where do you, like, I mean, obviously they would say, like, if you ask some Joe Schmo on the street, what would they say? They'd say something like, well, it's the government. But if you really ask them, they'd be like, do you really believe it's the government? They'd be like, no, there's probably people behind them pulling the strings. There's kind of a funny thing where the highly intelligent people and the really stupid people actually kind of are more alike than the midwits, is what we called them. It's like where you have I want to play something for you. You'll love this.
Oh, go for it, dude.
The problem is there's like people that can intellectually go down complex systems, they can understand it, but people that have low, maybe not, they haven't spent any time really looking into any real information, but they're kind of intrinsically like how, I mean, you remember growing up, I don't, maybe you don't. I remember everyone was like, hey, the TV's watching you. And they were not the smartest people in the world. And it's like, yeah, there's a man behind the screen that's watching you. And it's like, yeah, they're wrong in like how it works, but they're actually right. You know what I mean? Like, they're so dumb, they're right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, so there's like, and it's not, it has nothing to do with a single group of people. It's everybody's like there's all groups are like this. But the problem is the midwits. Have you ever heard that term?
That's a new one on me. Midwits?
A midwit. A midwit is somebody who thinks they're intelligent, but's really right in the middle. And they're actually more blind than the really dumb people and the really smart people. The smart people and the really dumb people are actually more alike than the midwits. The midwits are completely gone because you can never convince them of anything because they're too smart for it, but they're too dumb to learn anything.
That's an interesting way of looking at it, yeah.
It's true. I've seen this my whole life. It's like people that on paper look like they're smart, intelligent, and then you try to say something like about the nature of life or something higher, and it's like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're a religious freak or something. You know, they would just dismiss it because they associate you with the dumb people. Because the dumb people run around, they don't care what people think about them, and they just say all kinds of stuff like, there's a man behind the screen talking to us, the microwave is going to give us cancer. And they can't explain to you why, they're just saying this stuff, you know?
Yeah. I can never understand it when people start talking that way. It's like, well, what's your reference point? How did you come up with this conclusion? Well, everybody knows it. Well, how come, then explain to me if it's so good and everyone knows it.
But that's midwit thinking there, Cody.
Yeah. Well,
you gotta trust the dummies because they actually are more attuned to like certain things, like not trust them, but be like, pay attention when they're all saying the same thing, and it's worth remembering because there may come a day where you realize like, not only were they right, it's worse than what they could even conceptualize or understand. Because not only is your TV watching you, every single thing, your light bulbs are capable of scanning your rooms, scanning space through LED. And through the power system, they're able to basically transmit pulses through LED. I'm not saying this is happening all the time. I'm saying it's capable of doing this. Technically.
Okay.
That you
Why not?
can use light, because there's receptors in LED bulbs. So it has a feedback. Like sonar with light. You don't have to believe me. Go look it up.
Oh, I don't say I'm not believing you. I'm just trying to come to grips with the concept.
Yeah, basically.
I do believe that. I've always tried to figure out because there's nitwits, so why not have midwits? I mean,
no, midwits are worse. They're the worst. I cannot stand a midwit. They're impossible to deal with. Because the dummies are at least humble enough to realize they're not the smartest, person in the world, that they might actually hear you out. But they're still opened up and attuned enough. The smart people get it, but the midwits, you can't talk to them. They're just gone.
Well,
They're gonna
it's like the people that are out in the street chanting "No kings," but then you watch them go into the Capitol building and they're praising the king, an actual king, when they're talking about no kings riots.
Yeah, they had all the Democrat. He got the king of England, got all the Democrats standing on their feet. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Woohoo! Like,
Which I love. Trump pointed that out. That was really funny.
Well, yeah, I was just like watching him do that. I'm just like, these people don't even know why they're clapping. And he's literally like stumbled because normally no one interrupts the king when he speaks over in England,
Yeah.
And he's just like,
stupid peasants.
Yeah. And these
Can you
people
imagine
have
how much
nuclear
contempt
weapons?
he feels? Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, thinks that he's held hostage and he's playing the role of basically being a bad guy, or not a bad guy, but being like.
Well, my question is why you could come to that conclusion, because I've tried to just completely go after. It's like, so you have the English Revolution to get rid of the king.
Yes.
And then they bring him back.
Well, the Dutch brought him back.
Fine. Yeah, that's why. That was the link that I could never understand, because for these years, I was just like, I have parts of my family and you have parts of your family that were banished to the Americas because they protect and tried to overthrow the king.
Or they tried to protect the crown.
Yeah, we do. We do have both sides of our family were on both sides of the English Revolution.
I mean, like, they were actually trying to protect the sovereignty of the crown, realizing that there were foreign invaders trying to take it over. The problem is, back in those days, they didn't have the internet. They had pamphlets.
Mm-hmm.
Or peer-to-peer communication. It was really hard to get mass communication consensus.
Well, that's the reason they want to protect the power of the press.
You can't, it's really hard to detect. Like, anyone that says there's no such thing as conspiracies is insane. But it's the reason why people are resistant to believing that a conspiracy exists is because they can't see it.
Yeah. The thing is when you think about the idea of conspiracy, the media has trained you to say it's an evil thing.
I trade the word for espionage. It's espionage. It's not, forget about conspiracies. It's espionage.
Okay, I could get behind that concept.
Yeah, because it's a legitimate term and it sounds French. Because it is.
That makes a difference somehow, or?
It does, because people will be like, oh yeah, I can believe in espionage, but do you believe in conspiracies? Sometimes. Do you believe in espionage? Oh yeah, espionage is real. I'm like, it's the same thing. Like, what are you talking? Like, it's literally the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
linguistic monkeys. Say the right combination of words, it makes people think and do and feel certain things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I don't know how much longer you want to go, but that
I think we're at a good stopping point before we start down another rabbit hole. I mean, I think we're good. We got that. We need it. So what do you think?
yeah, just I'm not saying God save the king, but just maybe we should think of the old families, the aristocrats. Maybe we should realize that it's not like when you find yourself born into a family like that, you find yourself with more responsibilities than grifts. It's the people that are underneath everything, the middle managers, the accountants, the lawyers, those are the guys that make good money. The ones that are the principle of responsibility have nothing but headaches to deal with. And the reason why is because they're trying to protect something that we call a civilization. Some of them. Not all of them. There's bad aristocrats, no doubt about it. And the majority of them are. Most of them are spoiled brats, don't even realize what they've inherited. And they're just used as useful idiots. But we need real princes. We need real aristocrats. We need real kings to step up, to self-sacrifice their life and their attention and their energy to protect our civilization, because the body politic is too indoctrinated, insane. Like, we're not capable of doing it unless we fragment into shards. Like, let's say, because everyone's saying, well, the country's going to split up. Well, if that happens, we're going to be picked off one by one by powers overseas. Because once you start fragmenting down to the low levels, it's easy to buy off your leaders. It's cheaper.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, is just try to, what they can't do militarily, they're trying to do through political disruption.
There is no difference between military action in psychological warfare and economic warfare. Economic warfare has killed billions of people. Direct kinetic military action has killed millions. Real warfare is in economics. That's where you kill people, a lot of them, or control them. It's way more effective. They just started this. They just started a new college here in America, a part of the American military, the American Army College, that's solely devoted to economic warfare. Like, they're now instituting it into, like, straight. Now, it's always been a part of the military war colleges, but now they're like literally like, okay, we need to build a whole college to teach officers and people that come into these businesses how to fight at that level, because that's the level of fight that we're in. And the reason why is because people that would like to hijack our country, that's how they fight. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what's happening.
Okay.
And I don't know I don't know what I would do differently. I'm like, you have to understand economic warfare if you're going to be an effective general. I don't know. I mean, that's like 90% of the equation.
Yeah. Okay.
But then all of a sudden, we're going to find ourselves in a position where we're run by a junta.
What is a junta?
A junta.
A junta.
Like basically a militaristic hierarchy where the military powers run the government, and it's not controlled by civilians at all. And I think we've been in that state at least since World War II. And Eisenhower gave his farewell address. And his farewell address was the farewell address to civilian governance, in my opinion. He was saying the governance, it's been hijacked. The problem is, if we hand it over to civilians, they're not capable of fighting that fight either. So we're in a catch-22. We're screwed if we go along with this, and we're screwed if we don't. It's a very complicated problem. I don't know the right way out of it, other than that every individual needs to wake up as best they can and stop being a slave in your mind. That's the best thing we can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then over time, the culture will change, and then maybe we can create new institutions that are more nuanced and sophisticated enough to fight warfare at even a higher level, that where civilians can enter back in, because we live under a military dictatorship. We've been living under one for a very long time.
Okay.
Well, since World War II, I would say, in my opinion. And I would love for somebody to show me how that's not true.
Yeah. I think
I'd be very happy.
I think the government or the military has a large. Well, look how much money they take out of.
That's just what we know about.
Yeah.
Forget about the offshore banking accounts. Forget about the black budgets. Forget about the off the books illicit activities. Because this is what I've been trying to tell you guys. People think that criminal enterprises are run independently of governance. No. Criminal enterprises exist because governance allows them to exist. Full stop. Either that or they run the government. And like he calls it the mob state for a reason. That we live in a mob state where the criminals have hijacked the governance. Like, that's kind of his take on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. It makes sense.
Because you control the mobsters, you control where the money flow goes, and you justify it where it's like, well, we control it, so it's not total anarchy. It's controlled anarchy. And then we graft, and then we take the money for our own purposes to do things to stop greater evils. Yeah, we do evil to stop greater evils. That would be what Alan Dulles would say, who lobotomized his own niece and electroshocked his own son after PTSD, after he came back from the war with PTSD, and instituted MKUltra, Project Artichoke, all these torture programs. Soulless beings, but if you flat out ask him, like, why would you do all this? He's like, because what do you think our enemies do? I am doing the evil that needs to be done because you people can't handle the evil, but we protect you with our evil. And so that's where where they don't think anything of the body politic and of our opinion, because they look at us as hobbits in the Shire. They can't see the real evil out there. And here's the scary part. They're kind of right. We're naive we don't know anything. We don't know, we talk about torture and rape of children and people go, well, that they just disassociate and well, that can't happen. How could that happen? What kind of person could do that? That's not the right question to ask. The right question to ask is how to stop it, but that's never what people say. Because they know deep down in their subconscious to stop it would mean we have to look to our own government, because they're the ones that facilitate all this. And we're the ones that vote, and we're the ones that go to the polls every day, and we're the ones that elect these people ostensibly. I don't believe we really do, but...
Well, that's what they want you to feel like you do. And that's just the whole thing with trying to, make it to where there's voter ID. And it's like, why wouldn't you want people everyone to only get one vote, and that's when they keep pushing back. It's just bizarre.
To make the principal decision maker the civilian population of the United States is terrifying to these people. And the reason I say that is because it's scary to me, because I don't know what the American people are capable of, but I will say I've traveled a lot around the world. I've been around a lot of different people groups. I love humanity, no matter what country they're in. I can see humanity in everybody, but there is something very exceptional about this country and about the people in it. We are arrogant, we're tough, and we are relatively wiser than most nations in the world. If you asked everyone to make a decision on something and you gave them all the facts of the situation, the American people will make the right decision if they understood what was happening in full context. I do have faith in that. I do. That has been my experience with Americans.
Well,
Anyway,
I agree with you.
I think that may be a good place to stop.
I think that's a great place to stop right there. So, I don't think presently will probably be my last time we'll do the podcast, and I'll be with this background. I'm moving this week, and next weekend the house will be taken apart, so we won't have a place to record.
You have an opportunity. You set up a legit background, get some, maybe, I don't know, something for the podcast behind you.
I have a Gadsden flag.
That, or maybe a neon sign with "down the rabbit hole" or something like that.
Flashing. Here's my rabbit hole. Here's my rabbit hole.
Maybe don't say that, but whatever. Floats your boat. Yeah, it's a little gay.
Not a lot gay.
Just a little rabbit hole gay.
So, all right, if you got this far, we really appreciate it. I've been impressed by the growth that we've had this whole entire year. We've gained 460 subscribers in the last year. Because we're up to 820. We had 300 and I forget the exact number, but we're over 400 subscribers this year. We just need 120 more, and then this becomes profitable. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you really enjoy this, we
almost there. I can't believe that it's gotten this good, to be honest. I mean, I'm shocked. It's amazing.
Well, what really blew my mind is when we had come on. That was one of the first out of the box, real legit people that we both listened to.
The outside world.
That gave us legitimacy, so I really appreciate him doing that.
Yeah.
And then, Colonel Towner, I cannot believe how that podcast was completely suppressed. I did not believe in that until I saw it with my own eyes. What the hell happened there? We need to get her back on. She was amazing.
I feel like would do it again if I asked him. He would. Yeah. I would feel more comfortable asking Towner to come on again, but we need to have, and I would ask the audience to engage with this. What should we talk to Colonel Towner about? She has a depth and breadth of knowledge of covert actions and everything you could ever imagine. I have not met anyone in this space that has done more actual work, meaning reading original source material, than her in that realm of covert actions. So if anyone has any specific stories or anything we want to get into, please engage with us, and
if you have any suggestions for guests too, if you have people you'd like us to talk to, definitely bring up the suggestions. We would appreciate that.
Yes, please.
I've had a blast. I never thought I thought this would last maybe a couple months. We'd lost some steam and move on, but it's really picking up traction, which is amazing to me. So
thanks for doing this, Cody. Appreciate
it. You're the drive, man. It was.
Well, you helped me find my sanity again. Honestly, I needed this. I really needed this. Even though
I was a blind man with a feeling stick out there trying to find it, but yeah. So But no,
Gotta sit there
it's been very therapeutic for both of us, and I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun,
for sure.
mind expanding, and a lot of people have joined us on the journey. It's been cool. What a
Yep.
year! You should, I should,
Is it the anniversary? It was last month, right?
the anniversary. If you want, real quick, let's go.
No, it's fine. I didn't know what. No, that honestly is a lot of progress for 1 year from starting from nothing. That's incredible.
Well, we had my channel had 400 subscribers.
Yeah,
and
but we
so-
like switched lanes like hard.
Yes. Yeah, we
So it
definitely
was
went-
almost like starting over again.
Well, yeah. The thing is we haven't lost very many subscribers, which is the impressive thing to me. The first podcast went out on April 28th.
Wow. A year. No, I've had friends of mine have started watching it and they really like it. Their wives
yeah?
are like, wow, Colin's not actually retarded. He's actually kind of smart. I thought he was insane. It's like no, thank you.
Oh, they're just saying that to make you feel good. If they
No,
knew
I've
the
heard
real
that
you.
from 2 people and they were like, yeah, no, my wife saw it. Like when you weren't just like it's different when you're like on camera, like talking, because it's like people can actually hear what you're saying a little bit. So it's like not as crazy, but they were like,
Yeah,
oh,
it is.
wow.
It's,
Like, I was like,
it's
well,
pretty nuts.
no, it is. It's still insane.
Our first podcast, the thing that was
I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. It's so bad.
Guess how many our first podcast was kind of misleading because it got 716 views. It gave us some real encouragement, and then it dropped off to about 50 the next 2.
I got attention and scared everyone off. They're like, nah.
So the first, actually, the very first one did 64. The next one was the financial kill chain is what really took it off.
Yes. Yeah. That key phrase. And I will tell you, if we don't quit, this will only grow.
Oh, yeah.
It will only grow, but
Oh,
it
I'm
may
having a
not
blast.
happen. So we just have
But
to.
we really appreciate everyone for sticking in there. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Keep subscribing, share it, and please engage and tell us how to correct us, like correct me, tell me where I'm wrong, tell us
If you
where
know
we're wrong.
something,
Like, please, for the love of God, we want to learn. So
if you
give
got
us-
some information, a different way to look at this, write us, engage with us. We always like to write back and forth. Colin monitors the comments. It seems like as you get in there and talk, I definitely do. Let's have a dialogue about what's going on. That's the only way we can really grow.
Yeah. Show us other channels. I consume information crazy, so just show me something. I'll take it in.
So,
So
and on that, if you guys want to support our YouTube channel, we'd appreciate you by checking out our Patreon. Links will be in the description. If you'd like to also help support the channel, we have a merch. The descriptions in the thing. The rabbit hole store is open. A lot of cool stuff. Sayings have been taken out of the podcast. We're on T-shirts, and we have a lot of different concepts going on there. Still waiting for Colin to submit something, but evidently he's too busy to come up with a shirt idea. Well, look at the way.
a shirt idea? I have one.
Yeah,
I have one
okay.
actually. I'll tell you offline. It's good.
Oh, there you go. And then we're still waiting for Colin's Corner on Patreon. Still
Not gonna happen. I
Well,
need
it's supposed to be a
engagement.
book
I
club.
need if I can at least get 3 to 5 people that want to engage in a real book club, I will engage with you. That would be great.
Yeah, we can do that. Colin's.
Yeah, but I need people to say that I will engage with that and I want to be a part of that. So start talking to me in the comments and we'll set it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do definitely want to engage with people. So.
Yep.
Alrighty. So that's the end of the podcast. Y'all, thanks. It might be a week and a half before we get to another one, but we will keep on rolling. All right. Thanks. You have a nice week. Colin, we'll talk to you again.
Adios.